Hey people of the internet. So it's been a little while since I've last done a short talk video. Haven't really had a chance to test this light out very much, by the way. It's can't really see the box there, but it's Roleno. Sure I'll get more chance in the future to talk about that. Not really why I wanted to come on and do this video about it, though it's quite an interesting light. I've actually got a new stand for my phone today. Funny enough, interesting fact, or maybe not, but interesting fact, it's actually the same stand I had for my iPhone 6s. 6X, it's 6 Plus, sorry. I thought S there for a second. And it's really, I used to have this, I used to love this case with a little kickstand, and the last few phones I've had, they never did a case for it. Now I've had this Samsung for about a year, and I noticed the case wasn't very good, leaving marks on the glass back, so I thought I'll get a new one, and I saw this, I thought, oh, perfect. Anyway, an aside, not really one to talk about, and I'll keep looking up because I'm actually doing some coding for work, so I will make sure no one's trying to ping me. But it's really about note-taking as a developer, what you use for note-taking. Now, I've, in the past, used many notebooks. I've got, lovely pencils and stuff like that, which are brilliant, and I still do use paper for the odd note-taking. But I don't know about you, but most of my note-taking these days is done on my iPad. iPad Pro. Now this is quite an old one. Right, this is the first generation. It's like the 9-inch, 9.7, something like that. But I use a few programs for my note taking, and I always use them online, and it's dependent on what I'm doing. It's dependent on what I'm going to use. So, for example, all my work stuff, I use GoodNotes, and I think GoodNotes is great, and I can actually share it from my iPad to my MacBook, which works really well. And I have my notes. I create a new notebook for every month, and I have them in folders, so every company I've worked at has got its own folder and so on. It's a really good application. I also have Notability, which again you can actually share the notes with from your iPad to your Mac if you have them on both. I bought that a long time ago, not because I use the pen, obviously, the Apple Pencil for my note-taking now, but I bought it long before there when I wanted to actually use it as a note tool on my MacBook and also go on my iPad. Now I know someone that the very first example I saw of taking notes on an iPad, someone was using Notability. So it's a really good app. So I do like that one, but I do use that for more independent stuff, not for work stuff. I always keep good notes just for work stuff. Next, we've got something called Nebo. I was just looking for the name of it. Nebo is a lovely little application. Just share the screen there. That again allows you to write with a pencil, and all these you can actually write with a pen, the Apple Pencil, and you can also type with the keyboard. But Nebo was a very cheap application, and what it does, or what you can do with it, you can do things like special commands, so that it'll turn text, for example, that you write with a pencil into actual printed text if you've typed it. You can do mathematical calculation. You can do quite a lot of things. These are all the shortcuts. I don't know them all myself, but it's a great little tool for if you want. So, for example, you wanted to write a blog post and you wanted to write it via the pencil and have it convert into text, and it'll do that for you. Maybe you want to do some formula. You can write it via the pencil and you convert it and do calculations for you and all sorts of stuff. So Nebo is a great little tool, and it is very cheap. It's a great little cheap note-taking tool. The only other one I use is called Flow, and this is by Moleskine, and I love this. As you can see, it's got a nice simple interface. The downside of this one is that it's a yearly subscription model, so it's about, I don't know if it's £10 or £20 a year, something like that. And although it's got one of the nicest, I think, flows, as it were, for the pencil, you have to pay that subscription charge. So it's not one that I'd kind of recommend for your daily driver. Nebo and GoodNotes and Notability are pay ones. So those are the three that I recommend. GoodNotes is, I think, my number one. Nebo, I would say, is probably my number two, because I like the things you can do with it. And then, but then again, as I say, Notability is something I've had the longest of all. So it's a really good tool. So those are the three that I use for note taking. I do all my note taking digitally now, which sometimes seems odd unless people understand that you're doing it. They're wondering why you bring in an iPad with you to meetings. You know, they're thinking, oh, you're doing stuff in the background, but in actual fact, it works really well. There's a massive amount of storage on mine. I think it's 256 gigabytes, so loads of storage, never going to run out for notes. And it kind of saves on the environment as well. So it's kind of an all-in-one. I've always got with me, and it saves on the environment. And the downside, I would suppose, is if it died, but there again, all this stuff is backed up to the cloud, so I would never lose the notes as long as I've got a cloud account. So that's my note-taking tool. Those are the applications I use. What about you? Do you still use pen and paper? Do you use digital methods like this? Do you use different applications? I'm always up for hearing about other different applications that can be used to digitally store notes, you know, certainly ones that you can even share via the web, you know, automatically. That would be fantastic. So if you've got anything, you know, why not share it? So that's it now. That was just a short thought video that I thought I'd put together on what I use for note taking, and you know, to really ask you, what do you use?